to in a very short period of time, but I want to get this. I'm going to share this grid that I made. I was trying to, what I do with my money is kind of complicated. So I'm trying to get this to you guys in a way that you can use. I know we got people all around the world. So I'm trying to make this applicable. I know we got a lot of beginners. We have some advanced people. But trust me, it'll be worth the wait. Give me another 60 seconds here. I need to add one more thing. Oops. Okay. All right. I'm going to send this to myself so I can share my screen. Who am I going live with? Am I going live with Danny?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, sweet. Send this to myself. Then we shall begin. I had it all prepared, and then today I realized I needed to update something. It wasn't quite right, so I had a busy day today, boy. I'm doing all kinds of business deals. I'll let you in on some of what I'm doing here. But okay, let us begin. I'm going to turn on my Instagram live. Give me a second. People on Zoom, you get to see, it's a little bit easier to see it on Zoom, so you're getting an advantage here. Okay. My internet's been weird. I'm in New York right now. The internet's been a little annoying. You would think in New York you'd have the best internet. I went into Manhattan the other day. That place is a ghost town. No taxis on the road. It's just wild. Yeah, my dad's from New York. My dad's from Harlem. He wouldn't even recognize New York right now. I'm gonna tell you that. Right? He'd be like, "Wow, what a place!" It's like zero taxis. It's so weird to be in New York with no taxis, man. My dad's from, I can't remember. He's from Spanish Harlem. So he was either, my aunt said he was, it's either 103rd and Lexington or it's something like that. Is that Spanish Harlem or is it 123rd and Lexington? Who's from New York? Who is from New York? Anybody? Okay. Going live on Insta as we speak. Somebody said Montreal. Montreal is not part of Manhattan. Okay. What's up? What is up, Instagram? I'm live here on Zoom on my laptop, but I thought I would pop in here. And I'm going to be sharing a system that I use. This is my master plan on how I invest my money. I did a Twitter poll. When did I do this Twitter poll? Just yesterday, actually. And I basically asked people, I said, you know, what's the number one thing you'd like to learn from me? E-commerce, social media, how to invest your money, and how to invest one on every single poll. It won on my Twitter poll, Instagram story poll, Facebook story poll, and YouTube poll. So here I am. I'm going to be sharing with you. I've never shared this talk, so this will be cool for those of you listening. This is the first time I've ever shared how I invest my money. There's 8 basic ways that I invest my money. So I'm going to be giving you training on the 8 ways. And I'm going to let me start by saying this. This is an asset-based system. So the first thing you have to understand, I'm going to kind of share my screen here. Somebody said you look disheveled, Todd. Do I look disheveled? Maybe it's just his shirt. So let me go live with somebody from my office. Let's see if Danny is on. And then I'm going to share my screen here. This will help you. Okay, cool. I got that for you guys. And then I got a slideshow. So this will be cool for you guys. There's Danny. I don't see Danny. Where are you, Danny? This is part of a series that I call What They Should Have Taught Us in School. I'm telling you what I'm about to share with you. You're going to be like, how did nobody ever say this before? You know, it's just a real tragedy. So 8 ways I invest my money. 8 ways I invest my money. And I'm mostly going to share a screen. Hey, Josh, do you know what's the deal with somebody coming on or not going on?
Yeah, Danny said he's standing by. Let me double check with him.
What does standing by mean? Somebody said I'm going to get rich, real rich. Okay. Ty, what do you think about Forex trading? I'll talk a little bit about that actually on this call. So for those of you, I know I got a lot of people following me who do Forex stuff, and this is kind of for you. Okay. All right. There, I see Danny. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom. Waiting for Danny Carranza. Meanwhile, I'm going to share on Zoom. Give me a second. All right, here we go. Time to share. Got 730 people on Zoom watching. Yeah, I got 600 or something on Instagram, and I'm not sure how many on YouTube. So I got 1,000 plus watching. Okay, look at this grid I'm going to show you. Let me shrink it for a second. It's too big. Let me put this. Hold on. Too many damn things on my screen. All right, here's my basic system. I took the time to write it all out, okay? If you see here on the left, I call this, you're gonna have to zoom in a lot here, Danny. This is called the ABI Master Plan. And I'll explain what ABI means later, but it's basically an asset-focused system. First thing you have to understand that is critical here, that they do not teach you in school about money. It's a real tragedy. Okay, what they don't teach you, make a little slide. Okay, you have 2 ways, sources of cash flow. There's only 2 real sources on planet Earth. And everybody I know, and probably everybody you know, uses the first one. Okay, so that's income-based cash flow from a job/business. Even as an entrepreneur, you can be very income-based cash flow, okay? Starbucks, you got a job at Starbucks. I'll show you the differentiator. Have we got anyone here who works at Starbucks, just so I know? Who works at Starbucks? Anybody? I'm going to use you. Okay, Corey's Journey says he works there. Okay, here's what happens with income-based cash flow. About me growing up, 99% of the people I ever met that were friends of my mom's had income-based cash flow. And income-based cash flow is defined very simply. It's based on you trading your time, energy for money. Okay, it's a trade-off. Trade your time, energy for dollars. Simple. This is going to start out simple and get much more complex. But I want to set the ground. We got some beginners on here. Asset-based cash flow is pretty simple, or I'll just call it ABI, my system that I've kind of come up with in my life. All right, is from an asset and requires little time or energy once set up. So I call this term, it's front loaded. Okay, front loaded income is another word for asset-based. So there is work required. If you ever meet somebody that tells you you have to do nothing to make money, it's a scam. Sometimes people think my stuff is a scam. I'm like, my stuff is how to work. You got to put in work, time, and hustle with my systems. I'm not a scam. I don't tell you that there's people out there that are like, oh, you just build this robotic, stock market investing option system, and for the rest of your life, you'll have money and you work 5 minutes a day. That's BS. Okay. But the difference is my ABI system, most of the work is front loaded, and then it can go for years with very little time. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you a real deal example. Okay. So here is a business that some of you I've talked about, but I'm going to talk about it from a different perspective. So this is a company that I bought. It's called Dress Barn. If you live on the East Coast of the United States, you will know it very, very, very well. And you're a woman. This is a woman's brand. It has 10 million paying customers. And last year when I bought it, was doing 740 million US dollars in revenue. Okay. 69, the month before I bought it, the bank account got $69 million deposited into it at Wells Fargo. I have the bank statement. So sometimes they're like, Ty, do you know anything about business? I'm like, well, what do you think? Sometimes people are like, Ty only makes money teaching other people how to make money. Well, not really. If you've never heard of Dress Barn, you may be a male. Men don't really buy on Dress Barn, but it's a very well-known brand. In fact, when I bought it, Conan O'Brien did a 5-minute video because the stores all got closed down. That happened before I bought it. Sometimes people think, oh, you bought this brand and shut the stores down. The 650 stores, that closing was negotiated before I bought it. But I and a couple business partners own this brand. Okay. Now, I did a lot of work at the beginning to buy this thing. I started working on it, negotiating to purchase, because this is an asset that I have, a very valuable asset. No matter what happens, if I get sick, if I take a year off, if I go travel, if some of you saw my Instagram story, I'm going on a 1-year adventure, basically taking a jet all around the world, doing business deals, having fun, traveling, a combination of business and lifestyle. So took the jet from New York to San Diego to see family. Now I'm back in New York. Tomorrow, if you see my Instagram story, I'll be taking jet to Miami, then probably headed to either Puerto Rico or Iceland, depending on the coronavirus. And I'm doing business deals everywhere. I got 2 big business deals tomorrow. So this asset, though, daily spins off cash flow. I did a lot of work at the beginning to buy this business. By the way, I'm going to show you guys how to buy businesses. Maybe not ones this big. You know how many businesses are going to be available for you to buy? It's a mind-blowing amount. This is one of the 8 things that I do with my money. If we go back to this spreadsheet here, you can see I have physical assets, digital assets, and we could call it mental assets. So I'm going to be going through all of these, assets. So Dress Barn, I started on the deal in July, and it closed on the last day of October, or actually October 30th, right around Halloween. And now I do about 1 hour a week of work on it. So I did a ton of work at the beginning. Then I did 1 hour of work for 2020. I've averaged 4 hours a month. I know that Tim Ferriss did a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. Maybe I should come out with a book called The 4-Hour Month, because that's about all I spend. I do a weekly call with the CEO and executive staff. I'm gonna show you how to do this, because this is an asset. It's not, going back here, what they taught us in school was income-based cash flow. This is not income from me trading my time or energy. This is cash flow from my ABI system that I'm teaching you about. ABI stands for asset-backed income. Okay, it's my master plan. Okay, so that's just one example, and I had to set the stage because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't understand what an asset is versus income, and it's sad that people don't understand. I have Here's another example of another business that I own. It's an online grocery store. It's growing at an insanity level. It's called Farmer's Cart. This is a business we incubated, not purchased. I started it, and about 2 years ago, I put a, you can see all the little fancy tricks we have here with the pop-ups. I started this brand, and then we hired a CEO. His name's Abton. He runs the program, and he runs this business for us. And this is, again, you know, a very wealthy, I mean, a very high cash flow producing business. Okay, so super important that you guys see some examples. Okay, Ty has businesses that he doesn't work in. People get very confused. Being a CEO is not the best title you can have. You know, the best title you can have is owner. People don't understand that. It's like Chris Rock said a long time ago. Chris Rock said something, what did he say? He said, Shaquille O'Neal's not rich because he gets a paycheck. The owner of the Lakers that writes him a check, at that time it was Jerry Buss. He's wealthy. Now it's Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, his daughter after he died. So that's a good example. A lot of you aspire to be CEO. Well, why do you have that aspiration? I think it's important that everybody is a CEO at some point in their life. And it's not enough to just be an owner. Do you have an actual C-suite of people running your businesses for you? So we'll talk about that. That is the most advanced level of investing. So I'm going to talk about that, but it takes more training. On this call, I've been on 3 calls today. One is buying a very large company. We're trying to be what's called the stalking horse bidder. Did 500 million in revenue last year. And it's going to go to auction. And I'm trying to be a stalking horse, which is the first position in the deal. We also are closing on 2 more businesses at the end of this month. So I was on a call for that. And then I have 1 more deal for July buying businesses. So I've got 4 deals, actually a 5th one. We have 5 deals in the works. They take time to close, but that's the most advanced. So I don't want you to start with that but I want you to learn it now. If you're 18 years old, I want you to learn it now. You should learn things before you need them. Big problem in the modern world is people, you know, let's say you have to buy a house. In high school, they don't teach you how to negotiate a real estate deal. They don't teach you how to fill out a mortgage application. They don't teach you how to do owner financing. So you have to learn it when you need it. That's a horrible way to live your life. So I'm going to be teaching you things that you may not use yet, but you should understand them. It's funny how the school system starts teaching you calculus or pre-calculus when you're a teenager, and you ask, why am I learning this? They're like, well, you don't need it now, but if you want to become an engineer later, you're going to need it. My rebuttal back is, okay, school system, why aren't you teaching practical life skills that maybe people don't need now, but will need later? Like how to buy a business, how to structure a business so you work 1 hour a week on the business and it generates millions of dollars. Okay? Important. Okay. Oh, let me turn off the comments because people can't see. Oh, you can see better. Sorry. Okay, I'll turn them back on later for questions. Let's go back to this. Let me give you the big picture overview of what I wish I had learned about investing my money, the 8 things that I needed to learn. There's really a 9th one, but let's talk about 8 on this call. And I'm going to put a link later. I love starting these test groups. I'm going to put a link to a more advanced training program at the end of this. I'm going to give you lots of free training. For those of you who want to go in my advanced program, wait for the link. This one is, for the last 2 years, whenever I do a poll, people are like, teach us how to invest our money. And I launched a little short course a couple years ago, but it wasn't a master plan system like this one that I have. So I'll put a link to it later. It'll help some of you. And I priced it pretty cheap. If you want to go into the more advanced training, I already started building the training. I just recorded the first video of the training. It'll be like 8 hours of in-depth training on this stuff, because I'm not going to be able to do an 8-hour live call. And it's going to have bonuses. It's about 15 hours of training. But here's what we'll talk about on today's call. You have 3 types of investments that you can make outside of a job. By the way, those of you who are entrepreneurs, this is in addition to your entrepreneurial venture. So if you have an e-com website, watch what I'm saying, because you should be doing this on the side. You could have your own SMMA agency. You should be doing this on the side. Okay. So you have physical assets, and those break down into 3 categories. Okay. You have digital assets and you have mental assets. So the way you need to build and invest your money and time is in these 3 broad categories. So within physical assets, you have what's called outside managed businesses. That means businesses that are assets of yours, but you don't manage it. You have outside managers. Primary example for me, Dress Barn. I do not manage this brand, except once a week I go on a call and I check it daily. I check the sale, big picture stats. That's what Warren Buffett does. So outside managed businesses, number 1. And then that breaks into 3 categories you have to do. How do you find outside managed businesses? How do you value the deal so you know how much to pay? And how do you negotiate? So maybe you don't even have to use any of your own cash. And then how do you set up the operations for them so it's not you? It's easy to set up a business that relies on you. Well, it's not easy, but that's not a black belt level in money. What I'm showing you is a black belt level. This is what wealthy people do with their money. I did not know that growing up. This is the type of things that billionaires do with their money. Okay. So there's no book on this, by the way, sadly. I may turn this into a little booklet because, yeah. Okay. Now you have real estate. It's a physical asset. And I put outside managed businesses, by the way, under physical assets, even though they might be digital. Dress Barn is a digital brand. The reason I put it there is I have the rights to open stores. We sell physical products. So even digital businesses generally have a physical component. So I threw it in there. So you have real estate. Real estate has there's many types of real estate. I mean, there's 10 solid differentiated types of real estate. My specialty is agricultural land. That's what I know how to buy. I've been to 40 countries working on land deals. There's other people whose expertise is multifamily, and there's other people who like to do fix and flips and blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna talk about the types. I'll give you a little training today. The big part of real estate is always negotiating, and that's psychology. So if you want to be good at negotiating and investing your money into real estate, people get way too into formulas and stupid stuff like that. That's not where you make money in real estate. That's all bullshit. People who got college degrees. My mentor has no college degree and did a REIT roll up, and he exited with $2 billion. You think he got that from his college degree? No, it was a master. His specialty was mobile home parks and shopping centers. He's old now. He's older now. He's like 75 or 80. But negotiation was his game. That's where he made his money. And then, of course, you still have to operate the properties, but negotiating on real estate is where the rubber hits the road. That's my specialty. I know how to negotiate deals. I buy big companies and I get them to give it to me for way cheaper than they originally wanted. Okay. Precious metals is the last physical asset, gold, silver, and there's other precious metals, but we can focus on gold and silver. You look at a big company like Guggenheim. I had lunch with one of the Guggenheim. It's a $300 billion company. It's part of why I'm in New York. I was in Manhattan. One of the things that Guggenheim, I'll show you, this is kind of cool. So when, and this is not the museum, okay? CIO, this guy right here, his name is, what was his name? Mark, give me a second. I don't know him personally. I just heard this story recently. So you can read it yourself. There's a few of them, but as a group, the CIO and his group, Chief Investment Officer, they went out and in the midst of COVID, you know what they did? They took hundreds of billions of dollars and they bought gold and silver. If you look at the chart on gold and silver, look what it's at right now. It is at, if you look at a 20-year chart, gold, this is per kilo, was at 8,500 20 years ago. It peaked a few years after the recession in between 2011, 2012, during 2011. And then if you go all the way over here, it's at almost its peak again. So what happens is when people are scared, they go for gold. And when there's a recovery, people start moving into gold. The cool thing about gold is gold's been valuable for thousands of years. In fact, there's a really good book, Robert Kiyosaki. Some of you know who he is. He wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He has a book out. It's called Fake. And it's all about what he considers fake money, fake assets. And one of the things he talks about is that there's God's money and there's man's money. The money that we have in the modern world is printed on cotton. And I'm talking specifically the United States. We have a Federal Reserve System was formed, I think, in 1913, because in the early, like 1901, there was a huge stock market crash and only billionaires were able to bail out the United States. So guess what happened? People said, we don't want billionaires bailing us out. We don't want JP Morgan. We don't want JD Rockefeller. And so they said, instead, we'll form a Federal Reserve group of bankers. But even that didn't solve the problem because 16 years later in 1929, guess what happened? The Great Recession started. So when man tries to manage money, even man finds himself, even the quote unquote smartest Harvard, Yale MBAs, they mess it all up too. Long-term, there was a company called Long-Term Capital. In the 1990s, they almost bankrupted the United States. It was all supposed to be geniuses and Nobel Prize winners. So one of the things going back here that you need to understand is how to invest into precious metals, because precious metals are quote unquote God's money. You know that all the gold in the world will fit on a 16 square meter boat. All the gold. There's a finite amount of gold. People don't know that. And so whenever you can print more money. The euro can be printed. The US dollar can be printed more and more and more, but you can't print gold. Now you can maybe mine it and they find new gold, but it's very, very limited in how much gold that there is. So you need to understand one of the things they didn't teach us in school. They didn't teach you how to build outside managed business assets. They didn't teach you real estate assets. They didn't teach you precious metals. Okay, so those are three things that you have to build mastery. I don't care if you're 18 or 90 years old. Now, you have digital assets. There's two main types of digital assets that I focus on. There are other types, but you have the stock market, okay, which is comprised of obviously stocks, which are equities, bonds, which are debt, and options, which are derivatives, okay? I started out in the early 2000s, I started working with GE Capital, and I started pretty young. And so I became a CFP, certified financial planner. I was a IAR, investment advisor rep, did all that stuff. Series 65, all this registration. So we got deep, and I built a wealth management company with my business partner, John DeWar. It still exists in Raleigh, North Carolina. And come in. Yeah, you can put it. And so within equities and bonds, there's many other things. Okay, you have futures, you have index funds, you have inverse ETFs and regular ETFs. But the stock market is a game they don't teach in school, and it's a tragedy. Everybody should know it. It's a digital asset. You can now trade on your phone. You can use, a lot of people are now using Robinhood. I use Thinkorswim, which is a little more powerful than Robinhood. And so that's something you got to know. Now, another big digital asset that's relatively new, it's about a decade old, little over 10 years old, is crypto. So you have you need to understand blockchain. the conceptual structure of what blockchain is. There's a lot of horrible crypto stuff going on, you know. I mean, most crypto stuff now is retarded, but there is some good applications starting to happen. Then you have major tokens, which are your top by capitalization or valuation. So those are things like Bitcoin and ETH, and you know, these are your top ones that people like to invest in. I'm a personal fan of Bitcoin just because it has the brand name, and that's what I've invested mostly in. Never sold any of it. And as you can see, I've been rewarded recently, especially since I dollar cost averaged in, and I'll talk about that later. And then you have minor tokens. If you want to be more speculative, there's all kinds of small tokens, the utility tokens, and then they're being launched. Security tokens are being launched all the time. I do not focus on the minor tokens, but it's something you want to learn about. It's much more volatile. Now, those are, you know, I just went over 5 areas that are physical and digital. Mental assets. You have to become a machine, a learning machine. So within mental assets, you have to think of these as actual tangible investments, just like you invest into the stock market, or you invest into real estate, or you buy a company. You must master these. And book mentors, quote unquote. The reason I like books is because I can connect with Steve Jobs, who's dead. I can connect with Warren Buffett, who you can never talk to him in person. He's 90 years old and he's busy, and he auctions off a lunch once a year. Somebody paid $4.5 million for it this year or last year. It was the crypto guy, the Tron guy. And so I love books for that reason. So there's 3 things you have to know about investing in books. First, how to pick books. People are reading horrible books out there. People every day are like, here's what I'm reading. I'm like, why are you only reading new stuff? Why are you not reading some of the classics? Why are you not reading things that have stood the test of time? You know, and within modern book, I'll give you an example. There's a book, I'll share it with you here. It's called Made in America. Okay, it's the story, it's the autobiography. It's actually written, okay, by the founder of Walmart, Sam Walton. And he wrote this book, and here's a sad thing. This book on Amazon or anywhere costs $5. This is a used version. New version is maybe whatever, $6. $6. This man made more money than Jeff Bezos. He made more money than Bill Gates. He just broke his money up for tax reasons in various trusts, but he was worth $160 billion in modern money. And he laid out his exact formula how to build a business for $6. Did they give you this book in school? Did they give you this book in college? No, because they're stupid. That's the only explanation. It's called Hanlon's Razor. Do not confuse for cunning what can be explained by stupidity. School system has no excuse. The entire college system should be ashamed of itself. You know who did read this book? For those of you who say, oh, Ty, books aren't important. There's a man who read this book so many times, all the pages fell out. It seemed to have helped him because his name is Jeff Bezos and he's the richest man in the world. He found the book important. You know what's funny? I get people trying to debate me. I don't need to read. I just go out and do it. I'm like, yeah, buddy, you're way smarter than Jeff Bezos. But Jeff Bezos said he needed to read this book. Well, let me get this straight. Your broke ass doesn't need to, right? Because you're so cocky and you're so narcissistic that you think your own individual effort will outpace 30 years, 40 years of learning that you can get in one book for $6. If you haven't read this book, good thing you're on this call, because you are underperforming how much money should be in your bank account. So you're welcome for a free little bonus. It's a tragedy of epic proportions. Your parents said they loved you. Did they really love you? Want to talk about a hard question? Your parents said they loved you. Did they send you out in the world and tell you to read this book before you went in the world? No, they didn't. So what kind of love is that? Now, I don't get mad at my mom for not making me read this because she was also ignorant because of the system. But now you're not ignorant. So that's your Father's Day present. Father's Day, or whatever day was the other day. That's a free gift from me. I should start up a OnlyFans page. You guys can send me $3. What do people get for that? $3 a month. Okay, so there's an example. You know why you haven't read that book? Because you don't know how to pick books. You're just going to, people go to Barnes and Noble, and whatever Barnes and Noble makes the most profit on, they stick that book in the front, and people are like, this must be important. It's some dipshitty book. You have to know how to pick books. You have to know how to read them quickly, and you have to know how to have memory retention skills. 3 important things. You know what's funny in school? All school is memorization, but did they ever give you one class on how to use, let's say they call them memory castles, how to build memory stories? No. So before anybody ever thinks I'm a scam, you already got scammed. You went through 12 years of school that all you had to do is memorize things for your quizzes. And never once did they say, before we make you memorize stuff, let's give you a few little tools. Before we make you read a whole bunch of books, let me show you how to read faster. So I'll talk a little bit about this on that call. Those of you get in my test group, I'm recording brand new, powerful 1-hour lessons on each of these things, by the way. So it's going to go really deep on how to pick books. Okay. Second mental asset you need here is in-person mentors. I started out in my first 5 years in business, I had 5 mentors. Joel Salatin, which he was just on Joe Rogan for the 2nd time. You may have seen him. When I was 19 years old, that was my first mentor, Joel Salatin. My second one was a guy named Mike Steinbach. Third one was a guy named Al Howell. Fourth one was a guy named John Dewar. And I forgot, sorry, the second one was Alan Nation. The third one was Mike Steinbach. The fourth one was John Dewar, and Al Howell is the 5th one. So some of you've seen these people on my Instagram story, like me and Joel Salatin. Alan Nation died. You can Google his stuff. He has some books. He's probably the smartest person I've ever read. Since then, I continually build my mentor game. I mean, I spend a lot of money. You know, part of the reason I'm taking a jet around the world, it's not just for deals. It's I invest in I have 2 mentors that I'm going down in Miami tomorrow to meet. I only see them about once a year. One of them is one of the top investment bankers in the world. He does almost every bankruptcy deal, every asset. I mean, he has his hand in everything, from Victoria's Secret deals to JCPenney deal, all of these deals. And I took him to a Knicks game last year, and I haven't seen him since. Corona made it hard to see people. I'm flying. The reason I'm taking that jet is not to show off, but it's hard to fly now commercially, especially around the world. There's not even flights in the US to some of the countries I have to go. So you got to, but you know, going down private from New York to Miami tomorrow, that's like $10,000 just in jet fuel. I'm just going to charter. I'm going to take a Citation or a Lear 60 and go nonstop, take 2 hours and 45 minutes. But that's not just me showing off. That's because I'm invested in in-person mentors. Now, when I started out, I didn't have a jet. And when I started out, I didn't even have a car. So if you're totally broke, I still want to show you how to identify. You have to know how to identify mentors. You got to convince them to mentor you. That's the hardest part. Nobody wants to mentor a moron. And most people who are good don't want to mentor anybody. This guy that I'm going to see tomorrow, he doesn't know I see him as a mentor. Unless he's watching this call. But I see him as a mentor. The third thing you got to know is how the heck do you schedule time with mentors? My best mentors, if I see them twice a year, I'm excited. But I talk to them on the phone or I email them. I try to talk to them weekly. It depends on how high level they are. I know 5 billionaires. Billionaires are very hard to get a hold of. I don't care who you are. They don't even care if you're a billionaire or you're rich yourself. They don't care. Part of becoming the reason people become billionaires is so they don't have to talk to other people. So scheduling is important. Now, digital mentors. What you're doing now is a form of digital mentoring. But I use YouTube. I use courses. I just bought a course on how to buy businesses from a guy named Roland Frazier. So I'm buying courses myself. I just went through that course during COVID. So I'll talk about, you need to understand the platforms, the routine, and how to take good notes. On this phone right here, I have a note-taking app that has $5 million worth of secret information on it, seriously. That's why I have it double authenticated, and I use super secure passwords, like 30-letter password, 30 alphanumeric passwords, different ones. By the way, those of you, as you start rising up, people are going to try to hack you. So make sure you're using 20, 30 character passwords with exclamations, you know, hash signs, capital, lowercase, numbers, and everyone is unique. And turn on double auth or use an auth app like Google Auth. So let me go in, let me turn the questions on, because I've given you the big picture overview. Now I want to get into some specifics on these things. So let me stop sharing my screen for a second and pop up my chats. I know there's going to be an insane amount of questions, especially in chat. The richest man in Babylon. What's the name of the guy course that you purchased to learn how to buy businesses? He doesn't have it open anymore, but it's Roland Fraser was his name. He had a course. Okay. Any recommended asset allocation for portfolios? So yes, when you talk about the stock market, here's the thing about the stock market. There's 3 different approaches, people, 4 really on a grid. If you look at a grid of how you can invest in the stock market, okay, you can be aggressive with short-term horizons, you can be aggressive with long-term, and you can be conservative with long-term and conservative with short-term. So you really have to know where you are on a risk matrix. For me, I look to automate most of my stock stuff. So you're using limit orders and you're setting, you basically say, let's say you want something, whatever it might be, Boeing, or you want the newest, you know, telemedicine stock. I pick a threshold. I want to buy low. So I don't just buy it on the day I'm interested. I might never buy it. Sometimes it never bounces down or it never drops to the limit that I put in. I put an automated order, and then we have automated orders to sell. When it hits, we have 2 sell thresholds and 2 different buy thresholds. But that's a little more. So I like to do it that way. Some people like to day trade. My business partner, Alex, he sold his e-commerce business for $300 million last year. He used to be a day trader, and he was damn good. Trust me, he's smart. He was like number 2 in the world in physics when he was in high school. He lost it to a girl from China. He's still bitter about that. He didn't prepare. She studied for 6 years for the physics Olympics, and he just showed up and he came number 2. So he's got a PhD. He worked for NASA. He went to Berkeley for an MBA, dropped out, and he liked to play the game. I don't have time for it. Forex would fall under that too, you know. Any business prospects in Africa and South Africa? Africa, I would do this same strategy I have. Someone said, you put it on weight, bub, eat better. No, I actually cut, man. I bulked up to 204. Now I'm cut down to 184. Went up to 204, I was powerlifting. I mean, you get a lot stronger when I was lifting, like I was repping like 315, 330. I didn't do my 1 rep max. My dad could bench 385. So just so you guys know, it's not relevant to this conversation. You should invest in your own body too. And you should bulk up, cut. You should stay different weights. I'm just not a fan. People like to stay the same weight their whole life. It's just not. It's not natural. Nothing in nature stays the same weight. Nothing in nature stays the same weight. Do you think your ancestors stayed the same weight? Do you think they had refrigerators so they could eat the same in the winter? Come on, don't be stupid. People have no common sense anymore. Okay, let's get back to this. How do you balance theoretical learning and doing? I do both of them every day. People are like, don't read books. I'm like, well, read books and do stuff every day. It's pretty simple. People get all complicated, you know, so it's common sense. A lot of this stuff is common sense, a lot of it. What are some good first tips for me? Starting out with an app like Thinkorswim. I mean, the thing about Thinkorswim, it gives you you can get overwhelmed, but That's a long question. The stock market is something that people, when Alex sold his company, he sold it and he rang the New York Stock Exchange bell in August. I went there with him and I was talking to a trader who's been trading on the stock market on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, I don't know, for 30 years. If you ask that guy, what's the secret? I mean, he's got 30 years experience. So it's not something you're just going to learn right now. At the basics, what I will tell you is the most important thing with the stock market is to continually dollar cost average in. What that means is don't pick your times when you're going to invest. Just continually put some money into it. If you do the math, dollar cost averaging, you actually end up paying less than people who try to time the market. I do try to time the market when it comes to buying business, not so much when it comes to stock market. Some people like to do it, and most of them lose. There's never been a hedge fund manager that was the top hedge fund manager for 2 years in a row. If they actually knew what they were doing, they'd be able to be. I listen to like Ray Dalio, and I'm like, I know a lot of people like Ray Dalio. I'd love to meet the guy. He's smart. I think people talk out their ass with the stock market like you've never heard. People just, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you do not understand. At the very one thing you should understand in the stock market, you're limited in how much returns you're going to get. You're not, if you meet somebody who's like, oh, I invest in the stock market and I get, I've averaged 20% a year. Yeah, they probably started with very small. I could put $1 in the stock market. If it goes to $2, yes, I made 100% return on my money, but it's a bullshit amount of money. It's called flow and stock. You have to have your flow is what your ROI is, what your return on your investment, but stock is the quantity. You have to have quantity. And so, yeah, it's one of the 8 ways. What are my thoughts on the app Acorns? I will tell you, of all the things that I have, let me go back to sharing my screen. With all the investment things in the ABI system that I use, this ABI Masterplan, stock market is the least. It's the smallest for me. It's the smallest. The stock market is very efficient. It's hard. There's people sitting doing trades that unless you have high-speed access, you're not going to beat some of these people that there was a girl that DM'd me last year. She's like, hi, I want to introduce you to my friend. He's got a trading algorithm. He's doing, I think, what did she say? He did 150% in a month. I'm like, okay. And I said, do you know what 150% return monthly turns into if you start with $1? I mean, in 10 years, you have more money than there are molecules in the universe. I'm like, 150% ROI is BS. You can't do 150% ROI continually, people. Don't be stupid. You can make 150% ROI in businesses, but even then it will eventually kind of stop. Let me switch my internet real quick. I'm not sure why it's lagging. Is it still lagging?
No, you seem, is that for Instagram?
Instagram. Okay, I'm back. So let's focus on what I focus on. Okay, outside managed businesses, where I bring an outside manager to run a company for me. This is the holy grail. It's also the most complicated. So let me go. Well, let's talk about it. It's not that complicated. If I was 18 years old again, I would have bought my first business at age 18. That's my advice to myself. You're 18, learn how to buy. Even if you mess it up, you're on the right track, my friend. You're on the right track. Better to mess up on the right. I'm going to give you an example. What would you rather do? Date somebody you're not attracted to and have it go amazingly well, or date somebody you really are attracted to, but 6 months into it, it falls apart. They move, whatever. I'll give you an example. I've done both. I've dated somebody that I didn't really want to date. And I look back, I'm like, I just wasted my time. And then there was a girl I dated not too long ago that for sure I was more attracted to than any girl in my life. Now, it turned out that it didn't work out. Partly, she was complicated, okay? But I never regretted that relationship because I was on the right track. Even though that relationship was hard to maintain, it was on the right track. So when it comes to investing, you can go and do things that are easy. You can get a job at Starbucks. That's easy. You can start your own business. Most people start horrible, crappy businesses. The average business owner in America makes less money than a manager at McDonald's. Did you know that? It's insane. The average manager at McDonald's, whatever, makes like 45 or 50,000 or something a year, 40 to 50,000. The average solopreneur makes like $1,000 less. I saw the statistics the other day. So for me, I'm like, stay on the right track, even if that track is hard. So the only reason I would say you should start your own business is, one, if you truly have a earth-shaking idea, which is very rare. Most people's idea is like, oh, I'm going to have the Uber for alcohol. I'm like, okay, I've heard this idea. I want to have an Uber for car washes. Okay, all right, oh yeah. Is that company really important in the history of the world? I mean, Elon Musk has some businesses that are important. He has a solar business. He has an electric car. These are actually important. So if you're more of the Elon Musk type, you should start a business. But buying businesses, oh my goodness. Let me just show you. I'm going to share my screen. There's different websites that you can search. So let's just say buy a business or business for sale, okay? There's multiple websites. There's franchises, of course, you can buy. Even those, here's one. Franchises are a little different. I don't do franchises, but a lot of people do well with franchises. You can buy a postal annex for 70 grand. Remember, it doesn't have to be your money. One of the things you have to learn is how to raise money. Sometimes I buy companies now with no money, none of my own, or I'll put in a little bit. Don't use your own money if you don't have to. You'll need your own money at other times. Ace Hardware, 250 grand. But I bet you sometimes the bigger ones are easier to do. You know why? Because they're more attractive to investors. So that's just an example of some things. Let's see what the cheapest one. Here's one for 30,000. Here's one for, and again, this sounds like a lot. If I was 18, if I could go talk to my 18-year-old self, I'd be like, Ty, you can definitely talk some investors. Look at this, Sylvan Learning Center for $70,000. Probably cheaper because of COVID now. Probably buy one of these franchises for 20 grand. Now, what I do, here's one website. I don't use website as much, but when I started, I did. Okay. Here's let's see. You can buy an antique shop. Hey, bookstore. What? I gotta look at that. They got bookstores for sale. Profitable, famous, huge, used bookstore. 250,000. Cash flow 79. I bet you could buy this business right here with zero of your own dollars. I could. I mean, if I could teach you how to negotiate, you just talk to 20 of these bookstores, you'll be like, I'll give you an owner finance note that you hold. If I mess it up, you get the business back. Sometimes you have to give a deposit. This business is doing 105,000, selling for 399. Christian bookstore in New Mexico. I don't believe it. I would go hard against this negotiation. I'd be like, wait a sec. You got a 7,500 square foot bookstore. I would offer them low. I'd go through this whole thing and send every single person on here a lowball offer, owner financed. Literally, I just gave you whatever you think of this phone call. I just gave you everything you need to know. Go through, contact every one of these with a lowball. Now you can't do two lowball, like I'll give you $1. In fact, sometimes I will offer them more than they're asking, but what I give, I take away. Good negotiators give and take away. What I would do is I would come in here and I would say, I'll pay you you want $269,000 for this pet store with an apartment for sale? I'll do it, but you have to finance it. I'll give you a check every month out of the profit from this business. I'll give you $4 grand a month for 5 years. I did this once in 2013. Two business guys hired me. They were arguing. Okay, business partner, I'm not gonna say their name. They had a digital online business and I bought the business. This is how I bought the business. One partner, one became a hippie and didn't believe in money anymore. The other partner loved money and they were always conflicting with each other. So they hired me to mediate. They were like, Ty, we know you, we respect you. So I went there, I mediated, and then one of the guys turned to me and said, why don't you just buy me out? And I was like, I don't want to buy you out. He's like, then I thought about it. What I learned from my mentors, I was like, how about this? I won't give you any money down, but I'll give you, I think I gave him either $10,000 or $20,000 a month for 5 years. He's like, done. So we signed it. I put no money in, no money. It was August, I think either August 2012 or August 2013. They didn't have an email list. This is hilarious. So, or they had an email list, but they didn't send emails. So, and I did get lazy. I don't need this. Just people don't recognize me sometimes when I have glasses on. These have also blue light protection. So $10,000 I had to give them. They never used their email list. I started sending emails to the customers daily. I made $300,000 profit the first month. I kicked myself out 150,000. The remaining partner got 150,000. I paid that dude 10 G's. I pocketed 140,000 from his business. I did that for a year, and then I got bored of the business. It was small. It was like a $3 million business, and I pulled like 500,000 or $1 million out of the business, and then I sold it back to the partner. No cash of my own, just skill. So going back to my slideshow, someone said, am I in the Illuminati? Here's the thing. If I was in the Illuminati, I wouldn't tell you. So you can't ask me if I'm in the Illuminati. You know what I'm saying? Because if I say no, then I could be lying. If I say yes, then you won't believe me. So, you know, who's going to tell you the definition of the Illuminati is a secret society? People always think I'm in the Illuminati. Okay, whatever. People think all kinds of stuff. Think how many rumors go around the world, man. How many people talking about you behind your back right now? I bet you somebody's talking about you behind your back right now, and you don't even know it. Someone in your family is talking shit about you this week. You better learn to deal with it. Okay. Now, real estate. Here's the thing about real estate. I think right now, the best opportunity in real estate, or at least the one I'm interested in, is warehouses. Warehouses, because e-commerce needs warehouses. Retail is closing up. I just went through Manhattan. All Manhattan's closed. They're boarded up, boy. Commercial real estate is destroyed. Now, you might want to go into multifamily. Even multifamily is getting whacked. Not everybody can pay rent. I mean, it's doing better than commercial. I like warehouses. You can get a contract from a company. I'm buying a warehouse that was used by Krispy Kreme. Some of you saw, oh, is this frozen again? Damn it. Give me a second. I'm gonna switch to 5G. Let's see if this works. Very annoying. Hold on a second. Switch to that. Okay. Even that's not working. Joy. All this damn technology. Internet still goes laggy, even in New York. Paused. Reconnecting. Let's see. Do I not have? Huh. Give me a second. When is Elon Musk going to have his satellite that connects us to the whole world? That's what I'm waiting for. Come on, Elon. We need you. All right, I'm back. What is up? Danny, I'm going to bring you back. Hold on. I'm going to kill it and bring you right back. Somebody said he paused because of the sirens. Was there sirens? Danny, come back on live. Okay, so real estate, the way I look at real estate is you got to be careful right now. Things haven't dropped as much as people thought they would drop, but warehouses are not sexy. I love with real estate, everybody's going after sexy stuff. Not me. Not me. Somebody said, I thought you had it all together, Ty. Yes, I control the entire internet. My magic Illuminati hands. You know why people like the Illuminati conversation? People are always looking to explain things in a weird way. You know, most of the world is just stupidity. It's not master plan of some government. It's a whole bunch of dumb people in charge of stuff, and they mess it up. And people are like, haha, it's the Rothschilds. I'm like, no, if the Rothschilds were in charge of it, it'd be going way better for them. Rothschilds ain't rich anymore. Come on. Putin's rich. Putin is the modern day Rothschild. Use your brain. Sitting right in front of you, my friend. People are always looking for weird conspiracy theories. I'm like, Putin. Putin is a conspiracy theory right there. Okay. Real estate. One of the guys, he may be on this call, he teaches people how to buy land with no money down. He basically buys land, pays the owner $2,000 a month, and then resells it for $4,000 a month. He doesn't writes a note on the note. So pretty slick way to make money. You buy something for $2,000 a month and you sell it for $4,000 a month and you keep the difference. I love it. I love it. So with real estate, it's like I said, going back to real estate, how good are you at reading people? Are you good? Do you understand not just body language, but do you understand? I use vocabulary. It gives more away than body language, by the way. All of you trying to read body language, people will be like, oh, if you're on a date and the person goes like this is closed body language. Or if they're not mirroring you, BS. That's such white belt reading of people. It's just pedantic. You really think, what if they're cold and they go like this? And you're reading into it. Oh, this girl doesn't like me anymore. So when I'm in a deal, I'm looking for other things. And most people will tell you what you got to find the motivations of people. So in business deals, I'll ask them, why are you, let's say you're the investment banker in a company, or you're the owner. I'm like, what's the real reason you want to sell this? It's not always for money. Sometimes it's I want to retire. Sometimes it's freedom. Sometimes it's I'm about to get divorced. When I do real estate, boy, I try to meet the owners. And that's very rare in real estate because everybody wants to hide behind realtors. Not me. I'm working on buying an 11-acre shopping center to turn into warehouses in Virginia. Well, first thing I did, bypassed the real estate agent and went right to the owner myself. And I have an email thread. We talk. I've been working on this deal for 6 months. I'm going to try to put no money down. But I found out he has a $300,000 note against it. So I'm like, how about this? Owner finance, but I'll take your note out. Okay. So little trick, you got to talk to the parties directly. Don't let intermediary agents cut you. I'm looking at a property in Miami, and I told the agent, I was like, look, she does, in this case, the seller is in another country and doesn't speak English. So I was like, here's what you got to do. You got to give me a verbatim translation of that conversation. Verbatim. And so she did. So even though I couldn't talk to them directly, I was able to, in effect, talk to them directly. Okay. So you got to master buying, purchasing, finding, valuing, buying, negotiating, outside managed businesses. You need to learn real estate. You need to learn precious metals. You need to learn the stock market. You need to learn crypto. You need to understand books, how to pick them, memorize them, or at least have memory. You need to understand how to read quickly. In-person mentors, you have to identify them, convince them, and schedule them. Same with digital mentors. Digital mentors, you got to know the platforms, you got to set up the routine, and you got to know how to take notes. An in-person mentor, you want to take notes, but it's a little bit different because you can always call them up if you forgot. You know, if you're on a live Zoom call and you don't know how to take notes, then you miss out forever. How to read faster, absolutely. Trust and wills. That's a subcategory of financial planning, you need a good lawyer to do. You don't try to do your own estate planning. It's too complex. So who here, let's do a show of hands or and comments real quick. Out of these 8 categories, how many are you a master of? Out of these 8, I just showed you 8. Who's a master of all 8? Who you can put 0, you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see a 0. I see 1, 4, 5, 0, 0, 0, 0, none. None is not a number, by the way. Somebody's a master of 6 of them. Well, you're almost there. None of these should be neglected. None of them. 0, 0, 0, 3, 1, 4. So it looks like our average is about 1 or 2. That's an indictment on the school system in the world. And I know there's a lot of civil unrest in the world, and there's just a lot of people angry, and it's understandable. And what I'll say, though, is that the real solution, because I grew up in a mobile home, the ultimate, at the end of the day, these 8 things are what raise people out of poverty. And poverty is the root of almost every problem you have in the world. All the racial stuff that's going on, it's rooted in poverty. The systemic racism that people talk about, it's rooted in poverty. The globalism, that's a problem. China versus the US, it's because the more poverty you have, the more greedy you are. You have to be greedy. It's called acquisitiveness. If you go to countries like Sweden and Norway, where there's enough money to go around, people aren't that aggressive. I lived in Norway. They have enough money from oil coming out of the ground that they're not so aggressive. But if you grow up, my dad grew up in Spanish Harlem. My dad went to prison. Why did he go to prison? Well, for selling cocaine to an undercover FBI agent. Why did he sell cocaine to an undercover FBI agent? Because he had no money, because he was born in Harlem. He had 1 pair of clothes for his, he said, growing up, you wash your clothes every day because that's all you had. 1 pair of pants. So this is the solution to the world's problems, and this is also a solution to your personal problems. For those of you who follow me and you're building businesses, you need to know this on top of that. One of the weirdest things is like when I launched my SMMA program, it helped a lot of people make money. And one of the first people who got in the program he made $1.2 million in his first year. He had never even made 50 grand. And then I met him like a year later, and guess what? He got scammed out of all his money. He did horrible, stupid investments. I remember he's like, I invested $250,000 of my $1 million I made from your program into I forget what it was, but right away I could hear that it was a bad idea. And I said, is there any way you can cancel that wire? And he's like, no, it already went out. And I said, listen to me, my friend, you will never see that money again. So you need to be prepared. I was just in London. A girl I know from Dubai, she inherited some money from her family. I forget what it was. I think about $1 million. And I told her, what are you investing in? She said, I invested in this multi-level marketing crypto company out of wherever, Abu Dhabi I said, tell me about this thing. She told me 2 sentences about it. I said, you will never get your money back. She said, oh, yes, I will. I said, you don't know how to invest your money. Guess what? I talked to her. She called me a month ago. And she's like, I never want to listen to anybody else again except you. Everything you said came true over the last year. And it's not because I'm so smart. It's just because we live in a world that's completely ignorant on investing. So for those of you who are in my ECS program or my DSMC program, or you're doing e-com, you're doing social media, you're doing consulting, you need this talk that I just gave you, and you need more of it. Let me put this link up. I want to answer a lot more questions and do more training, but some of people are kind of messaging me, asking me how to get in this test group. So this is the brand new first test group. I've never done this. You are the first people to hear it. This is a live call, by the way. It is 6:21 in New York. What day is it? Monday. So just so you know, this is real. This is not some fake call. Let me see what the link is. just so I understand. What is the link? Okay. Gotcha. So I'm going to put this up. I'm going to read off. I always like to do this when I launched my first test group in 2014 for my social media for the 67 steps. And I still have the email of the first person who ever bought. And I remember the first person ever bought. The first person ever bought my SMMA in October 2016 was this guy that I said got scammed out of all his money later by other people by not knowing how to invest. So for those of you in my programs, consider going in. Even if you're not in one of my programs, I'm more excited about this new ABI system, asset-backed income master plan. That's what I call this. Is the master plan. I use this every day. There's no book about it. There's no school about it. There's no degree. Let me go back to my slides, share my screen. I'll put a link and then I'll pin it on Instagram. So my first test group ever. And we've made it so I think I haven't even looked, but it should be you can either buy one of the modules, there's 3 modules, or you can buy all 3. I know some of you are short on money, so I kind of gave you the option. You just go to my website. Is there a banner, by the way, on Tai Lopez that they'll see on the homepage? Did we start advertising? I don't even know if we're advertising this yet on my website. So tailopez.com/next. And we have it. This is way under $500 for all 3 modules, or you can do one of the modules for under 100. Yeah, we need to get this on the homepage, Adam. Okay. Any questions on the program? And let me pull up. I have an app that tells me anybody who gets in my test group thing. So let me open up the app. Questions we have. Which of this master plan are you the weakest? Let's take a show of hands. What are you most interested in learning? Which of these 8 things appeals to you the most? Talk about how to set up companies to be run by somebody else for you. That's an asset that spins off cash. Number 2, we talked about real estate. Just going back here so you can follow along. And we talked about precious metals. Those are the physical type assets. Then you have digital, stock market, or crypto. And then the mental, book mentors. Just a show of hands. Someone said stock. Someone said, I love doing business. I don't want you doing the business. I want you structuring it for someone else to do it with you. Can't be doing it all on your own. Somebody said it's midnight in Norway. I need to sleep, but it's so interesting. I'm going to stay. Oh, thank you. Mental asset, Shem's, that's Shem's favorite kind of part of this. Okay, good. All right, first person in, Brenda Men in Denham Springs, Louisiana. She bought all 3 of the assets. Brenda, I got a treat for you. Oh, you're also getting access to weekly Q&A, where if I'm going to be on a call live only with people who only paying people, so it's not open to the public. Okay, so I've got a Friday Q&A on that. You're getting access to that. Okay, the second person to ever be in is Sharif Ismail in Minya, Egypt. You know what I like about learning the ABI master plan, asset-backed income, is, or asset-based income, sorry, same thing, is no matter what I ever do, I need these 8 things. If I'm an entrepreneur and I launch a Tesla-like website or business, I still need this. If I inherit $1 million, if you're like Donald Trump, he inherited money, he had to do this. Whether you love Donald Trump or hate him, this is what he had to do. He had to do this same thing. If you win the lottery, you need to do this. If you get investors, this is what you need to do. So somebody's asking for the link, tailopez.com/next. Somebody wrote 85/15. Is that code? I don't know what that means. Ty, why aren't you investing in diamonds? Diamonds is part, we put that in the precious metals part. I mean, precious, I maybe should change it to precious items. Andrew Park in Buena Park. Your name is Andrew Park and you live in Buena Park. That's kind of cool. Don Zhao in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. So far, we have 2 people in the program from the US and 2 from outside the US. By the way, this works in every country. If you homeschool your kids, you should buy this for your kids. I swear it cost me a lot of my life to figure this out, and God knows how much money. It was painful to figure out. There's no book on this. There are books on how to invest in one of this, but not in all 8 of these things, sadly. Sadly. Should you focus mainly on your mindset in your 20s? No. Get assets, baby. I'm gonna get a tattoo. It's my advice to the world financially. There's advice that's not financial I would give my 18-year-old self. Sorry, I got my leg up on the desk, stretching. Like, I would tell myself, don't focus on money too much. Keep, stay in the gym every day. Every day. Try to go 7 days a week, even if it's just a stretch one of the days. If you need recovery, which we all need, stretch for an hour. Do a yoga class, do Pilates. That's one thing. But if I was giving myself financial advice, own assets. Warren, there's a billionaire, a good story. He's dead now. He was the largest potato farmer in the world. And he bought his first asset at age 7. Warren Buffett bought his first stock at age 11. Own assets, own assets, own assets. You can own some depreciating things. Like I have cars, they depreciate, but that's not, most of my money is in assets. I just bought 850 acres of prime farmland in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. Prime farmland, been good farm. It's one of the most productive parts of the United States and the world. 850 acres I bought, assets. No matter what happened, that's God's money. If the world goes to hell, I got land. I can produce my own food. I can sell food to other people. Own assets, don't sell. I'm not as big a fan of day trade. Buy stuff that sits around. Someone said that's a liability. No, it's not a liability. Land, you can have a liability against the land. You can have debt against the land. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not a liability. All right, we got people pouring into the group here. Cather Lassiter, Irvington, New York. I'm not gonna be able to read everybody because it'll be boring. Brett Stites, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Deshaden Amith in Benicia, California. Amilcar Rosa, East Brunswick, New Jersey. There's a lot of New Yorkers coming in. Maybe it's because I'm in New York. Illuminati strikes again. Ben Morgan Mabogo, Platte City, Missouri. Canario Johnson, Larkspur, California. Ryan Shipshaw, New York City. Cool. I see a little bug. Hold on. I'm going to send this to my team. More questions. Come on, let's talk about how do you control assets? How do you control assets? How do you own them? At any age, you should own your first asset before you're 18. Assets are not jobs. They are not jobs. They're actually, in some ways, the antithesis of jobs. You need teenager advice. Tivadra Dragos. I just gave it to you. Get a little piece of asset. Get a little, sounds like a little piece of ass. Get an asset. I don't care if it's a bad investment. Don't put too much money into it. Buy a little. I was thinking back in like 2004, I did my first real estate deal, I think in 2005. In 2004, there was this little shack. It was a rundown piece of property near, for those of you who know Raleigh, North Carolina, it was near Crabtree Valley Mall, okay? Crabtree Valley Mall. And you know what? I sat there for a year calculating whether I should have bought it. And it's insane. If you know Crabtree Valley Mall, you know what that thing, I could have overpaid for it and it'd still be up 50, at least 50% every 5 years, let's say. I like to think of people like annual returns, but annual returns, you have some volatility, not so much in real estate, but I like to look at longer. Let's just say it would be up. Let's say I had dropped 100 grand. I didn't have 100 grand, but I could have leveraged it. It's probably now worth $300,000 or $400,000. And that's tax-free appreciation. So I'm like, why did I overthink it, man? Why did I overthink it? I don't know. There's going to be so many assets for sale because retail's dying, shopping centers are dying, everything's dying. Make hay while the sun shines. Vaughn Ward, Hobart, Indiana, welcome to the group. Patty Wu in Pasadena, welcome to the group. Kyle Moore, Valley Village, California. Stefan Trunner, Vienna, Austria. Hey, I might come to Austria. That's one of my first places I wanted to go. The ninth asset, I combined them. I had them, two of them broke out. So it's. I know it says 9, we'll change it to 8. I had the businesses broken into 2 different, it was too confusing. How do you gain assets at minimum wage? You learn to talk to people who have money, say you'll do the work, you'll get the asset, you'll negotiate the deal, you bring them deals. You bring them deals. You bring them deals. Some of you could become a real estate agent, for example, and you can be a real estate, there's some laws around this that you have to follow, but you could be a real estate agent and try to do some deals with people. You find the deals. You could contribute your commissions. Like I said, there's some ethical and legal stuff you got to look at, but give some assets example the average income person could own. Your next door neighbor's house you could own. You could own gold coins. You could own some crypto. You could own a small pizza business that's for sale. You could get the owner who wants to retire to give you 50% of the business, and you'll do the internet marketing for them for free. And you'll help them manage the business. Now, this is a little more active, okay? That's a little more active, but that's a good start. At least you own an asset. You need to own shares or title to something. So you would own title to that pizza restaurant. If you revive it, you could flip it and sell it to somebody for 200 grand. And maybe you got into it for no money. A dry cleaning place, you know, maybe the owners, a lot of owners of businesses are 50, 60, 70 years old. People that have money don't want to talk with the poor. Nah, a lot of rich people were poor. I'm not bougie like that. You think I hang out with rich people? No. I learn from rich people. You think any of my friends are rich? I hang out with all my childhood friends. You think any of them are billionaires? No, none of them. I spend all my time. So that's not true. But you got to have a little twinkle in your eye. Nobody wants to hang out with somebody who's an idiot. Muhammad Ali got in the program from Bethnal Green. Is that your real name? Okay, I'm excited. I got Muhammad Ali in the program. Casey Parkman, Union, New Jersey, welcome to the group. Ollie Armstrong, Richardson, Texas, welcome to the group. Yahara Leon, Sealston, Virginia, welcome to the group. Nicholas Virgil, Toronto, welcome to the group. Troy Sorensen, Salt Lake City, I was just there. Damon Daniel, Lexington. Okay. Look at something. All right, a couple more questions, and I'm going to go. What's some specific stuff? I know some of you want like super specific, and sometimes I just look at all this and I'm like, it's so much stuff, man. So much stuff. Let's see. Sorry. Believe it or not, I'm actually trying to book this damn jet. I had it. I'm chartering right now. Me and Alex are trying to get our own jet, so I don't have to charter. Here's a Hawker for 11.5. I missed out. Yesterday, if I had booked one, there was a jet that needed to go down south for $6,000. Now they're all 11,000. Snooze, you lose. Good asset at age 19. A business and a small piece of real estate. I'm buying a prototype and he needs it 30% down. Why does he need 30% down? You need to negotiate better, man. Remember, negotiation is putting people to understand your side of the story. Everybody they got their side of the story. I don't like that. I want them to understand my side of the story. I want to be reasonable. I'm also not an insane negotiator. Some people are just totally what I call selfish negotiators. You're going to have to give a little bit, but 30% down for a business sounds dangerous, especially if you're, yeah. All right, let me go to the Zoom. Give me a second. All right. G700. You don't need a Gulfstream to go from New York to Miami. Ty, I own 600 acres in South Carolina, 70 cattle on it. What would you recommend to do with this? Try agritourism. You know, if you can legally do it, hemp's been doing really well. Somebody says, I need a haircut. I just got a haircut. Somebody's talking about me living in Beverly Hills. I moved from Beverly Hills to the East Coast 2 years ago. You're late, buddy. People are trying to catch me and stuff. Ha ha! I caught you. Ha ha ha! That's the world we live in. Everybody wants to. People gossipy. People are like, I figured something out. Figure out your own life. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about Donald Trump. Don't worry about Joe Biden. You think they care about you, buddy? You've been sold a lie. All the lie that politicians are going to help you. When has a politician ever helped somebody? Really? Most of the things that people attribute to politicians were demographic changes that would have happened anyway. People are like, oh, FDR was so great. That Eisenhower. Eisenhower was pretty good. JFK, he started us in the Vietnam War. People love JFK. He's great, but he did start us in the damn Vietnam War, which was a catastrophe. Lyndon B. Johnson, oh yeah, he was a wonderful soul. Nixon, oh, Ford, Carter, Reagan, come on, man. These people, most politicians are narcissists. They care about themselves, man. You better focus on yourself. All the people if people took half the time they spend debating stuff they don't understand, AKA politics, into buying assets and owning and controlling assets, come on. Eisenhower had tax at 70%. Yeah, although there was a lot more tax loopholes back then. No one ever paid 70%. Johnny Carson, when he was getting paid for his TV show, he was in the 69% or 70% tax bracket, and he never paid a penny. He postponed his income. Hello from Puerto Rico. I may be headed there at the end of this week. Okay, can we talk about operating businesses? Let's go back, share the screen. When I talk about outside managed businesses, you're going to control an asset. It's going to be a company. It's not going to be your personal entrepreneurial venture. You can have that also. But you are going to get control of the shares, or if it's an LLC, the units of a business. You're going to install managers. You may be one of the managers, so you might have co-managers like the office. Now, I talked about, let's go back to some websites that I said you can look at. Where was that? Okay. Here's a biz buy sell. Let's just look at some more categories. Cannabis restaurants, music stores. Which of these do I like? Solar businesses, wine bars, marketing and advertising, water business, ramen restaurant. Restaurants are tough. What is a motorcycle business? Oh God, I gotta see this. Motorcycle business, and it has, I think this is a mistake. They have a nail salon in here. Would I pay 250 grand for a nail salon that's generating 75,000 in cash flow? I So that means if usually people lie, so they're probably not doing 75,000. It's going to take 4 years by their analysis to pay it off. Oh, wait a sec. This is all messed up. Gross revenue is 190 grand, but EBITDA is 307,000. You can't really have your EBITDA higher than your gross revenue. I mean, unless they did some capital sales. Something's wrong with this. I would just come in, give them whatever I wanted to pay. These people don't know anything about business. Here's a $1 million jewelry business. Definitely don't pay $1 million for this. Blah. Selling motorcycle stuff. Most of this stuff is BS, but 1 out of 20 of these is a gold mine. Used motorcycle company. Harley Davidson motorcycles. What is this? Oh, this is a Harley. Hey, okay, I'm going to click on this one. My friend, I'm going to give you an example. Dr. Fresco, that you guys know, he bought a auto body shop. He spends an hour a week on it. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it makes him, I think he nets about $300,000 a year, and he hardly put any money into it. He has a manager that does the body shop for him. I should get him to shoot a bonus video on it. So this one, they're only asking $50,000 for it. The equipment is valued at $5,000. I would buy something like this for way cheaper. I would offer them like, okay, you want 50,000? I would just change it to an owner finance. I'll give you, you know, $1,000 a month for 50 months or so, for like 4 or 5 years. That's what I would do. And then, so I don't have, and then I would say, who's your best person to run this business for me? These repair businesses, if you get the right manager, you know a little bit about Facebook ads, a little YouTube ads, a little Google ads, you can turn this thing into a little bit of money. It has 70,000 in the inventory. So he's trying to say that like, so I would try to pay him less. Then I liquidate the inventory. This is assuming there's a good person, and I liquidate it. So then you could pay him monthly and keep the 50. You can make $50,000 on this. You could probably make, this is a good little flip for somebody who's like 22 years old. You go in, negotiate with this. He says he has equipment and parts worth 50,000. Definitely don't pay him 50,000. Definitely don't. He's been in business since 86. Man, I would track this person down. I'd go try to talk to him in person. So you got to go through his agent, Don Mouchart. I'd try to bypass this annoying person. It's a 1-year lease, but the buyer could obtain a new lease. Yeah, everybody's going to try to lease to you. You could negotiate this lease and get the price down. I don't know what they're paying. This is a little gold mine. If I was 18, I'd go, or if I was 20, I'd go right after buy this thing. I'd come with my uncle or something to make this more like legit, you know, because if you're 18, go with your dad, with your mom, try to talk your parents into doing something financially correct. I tried to talk my stepdad into doing business stuff, and he never said yes. And that's why I didn't start till I was 19 when I left home at 18. So, by the way, who's getting in the group? PyLopez.com/next. Oh, I forgot to say one thing. There's a little calendar schedule. All you getting in the group, schedule a calendar call to talk this week with my team. We got a little coaching, little concierge stuff. Sorry, let me read the names of new people. I won't, if I miss you, I'm sorry. Paula Price in Dallas, Clarice Portier in Philly, Skylar Natley in Ghana, Africa. Cool. Kristen Seith in Concord, Ontario, Dia Bond in Atlanta, Maryland, Troy Sorensen in Salt Lake. Oh no, that was a different thing. Jeff Bezos, somebody put Jeff Bezos' name from Jeff Bezos from Paris, France. Awesome, Jeff. Maybe you could come be a guest teacher here. John Giorgio, Dallas, Texas. Alan Gonzalez lives nowhere, has no location. Maria Lee Lewis in Bethesda, Maryland, Michael Black in Denver, Colorado, Eric Oblitas in Lima, Peru, Robert Rimazalwan in Elburg, Gelderland, Netherlands, Trey Carswell in Los Angeles, Riley Powell at Iowa City, Iowa, Casey Parkham in Union, New Jersey, Ollie Armstrong in Richardson, Texas, Yajera Leon in Sealston, Virginia, Nicholas Virgil, sorry, in Toronto, Ontario, and there's more and more, but Vaughn Ward is a cool name. I try to read everybody has a cool name. Vaughn Ward. Anybody's first name is like Vaughn, it's just a good name. What was the football player? Vaughn Miller. I met him one time when I was in high school. Hey, from Utrecht. Somebody said, what is this? I'm about to wrap up. We've been talking about assets. The key thing, as you can see, I'm going to teach you guys to master the psychology. Also, one of the things here, mental assets, you're going to have to start reading more, reading faster, and retaining more. I'm going to give you a list of books that'll help you with assets, real stuff, not bullshit stuff that's so prevalent out there. Nicholas Virgil. We're getting a lot of people from Canada in the group. That's cool. Okay. Veronika Sabanova in Tajov, Slovakia. Cool. I always want to go to Slovakia. How do you read faster? Let's talk about that for a second. Book banner. Let me give you a little pre-lesson on reading faster. There's 3 ways that you can read faster. Okay. One is you can skip. Some people get pissed and are like, that's cheating. It's not cheating. What are you talking about? Cheating? Is there some rule or something? Are you in the NBA? I got flack. I did a video in like 2013. I'm like, speed skipping. There's a lot of stupid stuff. Like Malcolm Gladwell, he's a great writer, but he's very wordy. I mean, he will use 100,000 words to say something that would take 500 words. And that's fine. He's kind of like an entertainer. Charles Dickens, who wrote Tale of Two Cities, he was paid by the word. Okay. Someone said that's not necessarily reading faster, that's skipping. Thank you for your enlightenment on semantics. Okay. At a conceptual basis, this is not semantics, this is making money. Okay. I know what semantics are. You're trying to say semantically, I'm wrong. Like, no, technically the definition of reading faster is not skipping. Blah, blah, blah. What game are you trying to win? Who read the most books or who has the most skill? I hope you're one of those people that needs like you need a college degree that says, English degree. People who speak English. That's a degree of con man nature. So what do you do? I'm 18. I don't know what I should do. What's your first language? English. All right. I'm your advisor. I recommend you get an English degree. And I recommend you get an English degree and you spend 4 years studying English and you pay me $100,000 and you get in debt. That's much more of a problem. So when you read, the first way to read faster is to skip the irrelevant stuff. The second way to read faster is actually through a system of learning to take in the whole page. So you use your hand and you basically learn to, how when you drink a beer, you can either sip it or you can chug it. You basically teach your brain to chug. Okay, it's much harder. It's actually very exhausting. I know how to do it. I don't recommend everyone do it that way. The third way is through book summaries. This is a great way. Book summaries. Is that cheating? Okay, if that's cheating, then cheat. It's ethical cheating. Reading a book summary. That's what everyone does in school. You have like a Moby Dick, literature exam. Read a summary. You might have the quiz tomorrow. So what I would say You know how many business books there are? This is nothing. This is a teeny. I've got multiple houses. This is nothing but library. But I've read most of these books. You're way behind, but you could catch up with me if you knew how to read and retain. Now, retaining, the best way to retain a book is at the end of the book, shoot a selfie video explaining it for 5 minutes. The process of explaining it locks it into your brain. You don't even have to share that video with anybody if you're self-conscious. That's important. That is important, my friend. And so few people do that. That's part of why my Ty Lopez brand launched around books, is I used my brand to embed what I had just read in my head by shooting a video and posting it on a podcast and a YouTube. I got value from it. Other people did too. All right, I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm excited for the people who got in the group. I'm gonna shoot another lesson today. Somebody said, you've been eating for like 3 hours. It's fruit, man. You can eat a lot of it. LC Co, East Meadow, New York, welcome to the group. John Truong, Laverne, California, welcome to the group. Soraya Musaga, Columbia, Missouri. Ankit Jane, oh no, that's a different program. Renzo Casareto in Berlin. Oh, Berlin. Cool. Where are you from originally? Renzo, are you Brazilian? Do you ever speed bulk eat? Please explain Forex. So Forex are you a Forex trader? Forex is not my specialty at all, but it's basically currencies. People made a lot of money in currencies. Soros made $1 billion in one day trading currencies. He almost bankrupted the UK. That is a subset of digital investing, and you can learn it, but it's not my strength, so I don't speak too much on it. There's other people. I'll maybe get some people to teach on Forex stuff. I put Forex under the category of options, futures, Forex. These are all like derivative type trades. When you trade, let's say when you trade a stock, if you buy Apple stock, you actually own a piece of Apple. You would be on the cap table. You're not really on the cap table, but technically you kind of are. Okay. So especially if you did an IPO. Did I freeze up there? So you actually own a teeny bit of Apple. You own 1/1000th of Apple or whatever. Forex is not exactly that way. Options are not exactly that way. That's why they are considered derivatives, futures. You can, let's say corn, there's futures, there's pork bellies, there's, rice options, and you're basically promising to deliver something in the future. That's why they call them derivatives. All right, is college worth it? For some things, yes. For many things, no. Not for an English degree. Do not get an English degree. If you want to learn to write better, go become a personal assistant to a Nobel Prize or Pulitzer Prize winning writer. Bought the book, Secrets to Sell on Amazon by Bill Crable. Good stuff. Awesome. Appreciate the value. I've learned a lot from you. Thanks, Peter. All right, I'm going to wrap up here. I hope you saw, I showed you some practical stuff, some specific businesses that I would buy. We talked a little bit about precious metals. I showed examples of businesses that I've set up, front-loaded businesses. I talked about simple things, mental assets, $6 book. If you buy it new, $4. If you buy it used, everybody should read this, okay? Do you recommend college for real estate? No. I mean, if you want to be good at formulas, yeah. If you want to own a lot of real estate, I wouldn't. Arnold Schwarzenegger became a real estate millionaire before he was 30. all he did was he found a mentor who was a realtor in Santa Monica, and he followed him around. I think it was a woman, a female mentor. Is he a female? I don't remember. Followed them around. You know what I'm saying? So Ty, is a lawyer needed for every business? Sadly, yes. But there's some of those. You can use something like LegalZoom. There's also that one legal network marketing company where you pay like one fee and you get a lawyer. What is the name of that? Forget the name. Prepaid Legal. I think they changed their name. So there's things like that. If you're really broke, you could get access to a lawyer. Legal Shield is their name. I think it's like $50 a month and you're not going to get the world's best lawyers through this, but it can be a decent start. You know, if you need to talk to a lawyer about something, they have business formation. Like I said, you can also use LegalZoom. So, okay. Ty, you still read them books? Yes, I do, my friend. I got them all behind me. Thank you for today's call. I hope it helped. I hope you go to my website, tylopez.com/next. Jump in the program. It's my first test group around sharing how I make money or how I invest my money and how I have assets working for me while I sleep. It's pretty cool. I'll tell you, to wake up and know that your net worth went up, that your income went up and you didn't have to show up at a job. That's the definition of this ABI master plan, asset-based income. So it's okay to have, you know, work-based income, time-based income. It's okay, but it's not okay if that's the only source. You have to have ABI, asset-backed income. You sleep, the asset spins off cash. You might have to spend an hour a week, or at the beginning, you might have to spend 40 hours a week, but it has to go down. Most people's jobs, your amount of work doesn't go down. It stays the same for 20 years. I'm all about that front-loaded work. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon. I'm gonna go off Instagram. I'm gonna go off Zoom. Hi, great call, plenty of nuggets. I appreciate it. tylopez.com/next. For those of you who got in the group, I'm excited that you got in, and you're the first people in. So remember that. Mark today's date down. It'll be a big day. Jump in there after the call, tylopez.com/next. We'll keep this slide up maybe, and I'm going to jump off. So I got to do some other stuff. Talk to you soon.